Let's bring up next the universe's favorite slug, Mr. Slorg of the Slugs. Tell us, Slorg, the first quarterly report came out from an accountability and transparency and trust building perspective. What is kind of the vision for the DAO and the CWG, and what have you guys been up to lately?
On Monday, we released the first CWG quarterly report. This was something which we promised back during the CWG budget vote, that we would have a quarterly report every 3 months, and something that we hope most of the other work groups adopt as well, because I think it not only serves as an important touch point with the community, but it allows for a period of reflection in like a global sense. So you get to see sort of what you did over the last few months, and you have to really think about it. I personally got a lot of value out of it. I think the other CWG members did as well. But yeah, it's hosted right now in the JUP Research Forum if you want to check it out. There's a link to it on the Twitter. There's a link to it in the working group announcements channel as well. I would read it at some point because we did put a decent amount of effort into it. We broke it down to 4 different categories or sections, the first of which was the vision. And the TLDR for that is that what do we see as the vision or the role of the CWG 3 months into this experiment? Our answer to that would be twofold. One of which would be we are sort of one of the most important threads or uniting threads between the various groups within the Jupiverse. So the cadets, the team, the moderators, the other work groups. We're one of the key touch points between all these different groups. And it's sort of our role to find an alignment between them and sort of juggle and help organize and help make sure the needs of these different groups are met adequately and that they're working well together. And the second of which is more granular, I would say, and it's finding that individual alignment between DAO members with the Jupiverse, with the team. For example, the Jup and Juice podcast. If the Jup and Juice podcast does well, Jupiter does well, right? Because it has the name, they're conveying a bunch of information. So how do we find more of these opportunities, and how do we empower these people? I think those two things that I just went over are sort of the core goals of the CWG in retrospect.
So as you guys have been kind of executing on this vision and trying to help both connect people as well as ensuring that people have resources, what do the last 3 months look like for you guys?
Yeah, we've done quite a bit over the last 3 months, and we intend to sort of synthesize, okay, what was the best of this stuff and what do we want to do more of for the next 3 months? So what have we accomplished? I think one of the more prominent things was the revitalization of the strict list. And it encountered a lot of problems, right? Because over its history, it's evolved several times from the original Solana token list, which it was sort of spawned out of. And it was during February, March that we encountered one of the latest roadblocks that we had to find a solution for. And that was the launching of 20,000 new tokens every day. It just became an unsustainable system. And what we did, TLDR, was that we made this website. It's called cat.list.jup.ag. You simply just drop the token address in there. It applies for you. And now it takes about 10 minutes a day. So drastically reduced the workload of that. Another thing, this is more recent, is that we've grown the DAO Twitter. A lot of the communication efforts from Jupiter are centralized to an extent from Meow's Twitter or from the Jupiter Twitter. Yeah, that has benefits, but we're in this chaos superstorm that is crypto, right? So something that we wanted to do was set up a more flexible Twitter, and that spawned the DAO Twitter. Right now, I think it's about 18,000 followers, about 7 weeks in. And my goodness, the engagement it gets for its size is probably the best in the space, I would say. And we're able to like adequately maneuver and be flexible and educate people on like more niche topics within the DAO and within the Jupiverse.
Pretty great stuff. I mean, there's more in here that people can take a look at. The CWG has been busy, but maybe we can jump, just for the sake of time here, Slorg, into what's coming up next in particular. I know this is something a lot of cadets have been asking about around grants.
So yeah, next 3 months, one of the main things that we're going to spearhead is the grants program. And that's because the working group model, although it's very innovative and it's very crucial, it lacks flexibility. It only comes up every 3 months. It doesn't adequately meet the needs of every DAO member who wants to participate. And that's something we've sort of realized at this point. So the grants process, we're currently working. We have an advisor who actually did the super team grant system. There should be news on this within the next week or two, some public news. So yeah, just stay tuned. I would ask everyone to please go read it because there's some important stuff in here.
Thanks for putting this report together. It is super detailed. Everyone just heard Meow talk about the importance of trust and transparency in community building, and that's what we're getting here. So if you have some questions, go to the Jup Research Forum and ask them. Obviously, the CWG also hosts office hours on a regular basis where you can make your opinions or your thoughts known about the future of, let's say, the grants program or the Twitter or anything else. But for now, I will say, Slorg, the hardest working slug in the known multiverse. Thanks for coming out, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Till next time.